Welcome, friends, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans, and we appreciate you joining us today for episode 5. I am your host, representing the old school wrestling fan, and your favorite barber, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of wrestling podcasts, Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan, Jeremy.
All right, guys, we have another great show planned for you today. We're going to be talking about all things pro wrestling. A new feud begins on Rampage. Raw had a great main event. NXT had a great event. And, of course, we're going to do our weekly review of the AEW Dynamite Grand Slam show. Guys, let's jump right into Rampage from last week.
So this week with Rampage, I want to go over the main event of the show. It was Fuego del Sol versus Miro for the second time for the TNT Championship. The winner in the end was Miro. At the end, Miro attacked Fuego, and out comes his best friend Sammy Guevara to come help. It looks like that feud between Sammy and Miro is now starting up. So we'll have to see where this goes, but we'll get more into that later.
All right, yeah, so that seems to be the big thing that happened on Rampage this week. Andy, what do you say we start talking about Raw? Before we get into the main event, because the main event was awesome this week, is there anything in particular that you want to talk about that happened on the show that also stood out to you?
Yes, so first of all, Jeff Hardy defeated Sheamus in order to be added to the United States Championship match at Extreme Rules this Sunday. So he'll be going against Sheamus and Damien Priest in a triple threat. We also saw the crowning of new women's tag team champions. It was Nikki Ash versus Rhea Ripley, and they defeated Natalya and Tamina. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, Sheamus and Hardy had good chemistry. I ended up seeing the match. Actually watched it. I think they had it on YouTube, the full thing, and I thought it was really good. And they had a chemistry that I wasn't expecting. And Hardy had that weird match with Damien Priest from a couple weeks ago where it seemed a little something was off there with the timing, but Jeff looked really good in that match against Sheamus, so they work well together. Did you happen to see the match, Jeremy?
Yeah, I don't think Sheamus, whenever he gets, he's been kind of injury prone, I think, in the past few years especially, and ever since when he comes back and he's maintained his health, he does really well in all his matches, and I really enjoy them, so I feel like he's kind of hitting his stride in this point now.
Yeah, he's a very physical wrestler, very tough guy, and he wrestles a very physical style. And with that, every now and then, unfortunately, probably comes some injuries.
I just want to know. I want to know what you guys thought about Jeff's swanton bomb off the top rope, landing on Sheamus's knees, and just bounced right off. It looked like it hurt so bad.
Yeah, it looked like it hurt.
That's the swantons from Jeff when he's, I don't know, how old is he now? Almost 40, or is he 40?
I think he's like 43 or something like that.
Yeah, those swantons in his 40s, he just lands them like right on the person. Not even trying to have any give anymore. So like it's gonna hurt every time.
Yeah, no. So I read a while ago. This was about, I want to say 3 years ago. He stopped rolling out of it because it would hurt him more. So now he just drops on top of them, and Carl Anderson actually said one time that Jeff Hardy's like the heaviest 225-pound guy he's ever wrestled because of that swanton bomb.
Yeah, I think he said it was like, this is before Jericho said that the One Wing Angel was the roughest, but I remember him saying that Jeff Hardy's swanton was the stiffest move in the business. He just crushes you.
Yeah, it just drops straight down. But moving on, do you guys want to get into that main event? It was Biggie versus Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns. The Bloodline had come over from Smackdown to invade Raw and in the beginning of the night go against the New Day. But this eventually turned into a triple threat match for the main event of those three. What you guys think? Winner was Roman Reigns.
Jeremy, you go first on this one.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Big E's getting these chances now in the main event.
Really happy
He's always been a great wrestler like this, and it's so nice to see him and Roman, and even like Bobby Lashley, because he's had like a great run this past year. So all of those three guys, and I'm kind of glad they're kind of not doing the brand split as much anymore. Hopefully that's where they're going, because I feel like it always hinders WWE more than it's positive wise. And so yeah, I think the star of this match to me was Biggie.
Well, speaking of the brand split, I wonder if it has to be separate because they're on two different channels. You know, you have USA for
Oh,
Raw,
that's right. Yeah.
and then Fox for SmackDown. But the draft is coming up, so we'll have to see what they're doing with that.
I love the match. It blew away my expectations, but I shouldn't have been surprised because all three of the people in the match are excellent. My thing is I'm just not a huge triple threat guy, but I do have a couple favorite triple threat matches. Shawn Michaels, that is. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 20. That's one of my favorite triple threats. And this one, I gotta say, this one probably ranks right up there. This was fun, and I really enjoyed it. I also think there's one between Triple H, Jeff Hardy, and Edge from, gosh, it's maybe 2006, maybe 2007.
I think it was No Mercy, though, right? Jeff won the championship.
It's the first time Jeff won the title.
I believe so.
Yeah, that was a good one. So I really enjoyed that one too. But I'd rank this one up there. Biggie is awesome. He's really grown on me outside of just like the New Day thing. I never didn't not like the New Day. That's just not my type of thing, not my type of wrestling. I'm more of like the blood and guts, old school, very serious wrestling. But I know that Big E, everybody loves him behind the scenes, and he's a great in-ring competitor. He's in great shape. I was watching the way he was moving. He's just so smooth. Like, everything he does is very smooth, and he looks powerful. He might have technically been the shortest guy in the match. I noticed that, which is, like, odd because he's huge. But he definitely seemed like one of the most powerful guys in the match. He was throwing everybody around. And Bobby Lashley, let me just add something about Bobby Lashley. He is better than ever. Like, I don't know how old he is right now. What is he, like, mid-40s probably? But he's better now than I remember him in 2006.
Yeah, this recent run with him has been great. I mean, he's been really good.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same. It's incredible. Yeah. Like, he is frozen in time.
Well, Stone Cold and him had a broken skull sessions recently, and I'm pretty sure Stone Cold mentions that. He's like, you don't age, dude. He's like, you look great still to this day.
Oh, my God. It's like literally like nothing has changed about his body at all. It's crazy. He's as ripped as ever. So, all right, now that we've talked about that main event, what do we got coming up next, guys? Was it
NXT 2.0?
All right, let's get into it.
So from the show, there was lots of new faces they introduced this show. Unlike last week where they introduced a couple, this one seemed more new face-filled than recurring stars. A couple of names that you didn't see before is Grayson Waller, Dante Chen made his debut, Andre Chase, Joe Gacy, just throwing out a couple of names that I noticed were fresh faces. On the show, though, we saw the crowning of a new Cruiserweight champion. Roderick Strong defeated Kushida and became the new NXT Cruiserweight champion. Congratulations to him. Well,
hang on. What do you think about Roderick Strong? I when I saw him post about this, he said, I'm going to go for the Cruiserweight title. And my only concern that has happened in the past, not so much recently, is once you say, I'm a Cruiserweight guy, there becomes an association again that you're small. And I honestly don't like the term Cruiserweight. I would prefer even light heavyweight. Cruiserweight just makes me feel like I was a big WCW fan growing up, and it just makes me think of luchadors and smaller guys in general. And Roderick Strong, he's a great wrestler, and he can wrestle big. He can wrestle powerful guys. I know it's just a term, but what do you guys think about him maybe, or not just him, them making other people that are his size possibly becoming quote-unquote Cruiserweight division people?
For me, it doesn't bother me as much as, say, if it was still on the 205 Live show. It's been treated a lot better since moving to NXT. You've seen some really good champions, such as Jordan Devlin. He's awesome wrestler from the NXT UK. Came over for a little bit. had to relinquish it during pandemic times, and Phantasma ended up picking it up. That helped him grow into a star, and now I believe he's in one of the top storylines every week. So we'll have to see what they do with Roderick Strong. They've never really pushed him to the main title picture, so I don't know where else he would have gone besides this or get lost in the shuffle.
Well, I used to watch Roderick Strong in Ring of Honor, and he didn't cut a very good promo back then, and he cuts a pretty good one now. So I think he's added a whole new level to his game. And then he was in the Undisputed Era and had a lot of excellent matches. So I hope that he finally gets his time to shine on his own a little bit, and because he is getting older. So before he starts to get into the later parts of his career, I'd like to see him do a few more things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of agree with that because I get kind of concerned if when WWE moves to, especially WWE when they move someone to that cruiserweight status, because to them they're never going to be in that main event for the title again, like in the NXT title at least. So I was kind of hoping that Roderick Strong, because to me he was getting better as time went on for NXT, but I don't know, hopefully he gets the cruiserweight title at least, and then it kind of makes himself known.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the current North American champion is Isaiah Swerve Scott. At one point, I believe he was going for the cruiserweight title. Before he was North American champion, he was going for the cruiserweight title. And he was able to move up, so I don't know if they might be treating cruiserweights a little differently in NXT than past years.
I think with the now MMA being so popular, and there are fighters who have moved around in different weight classes, it's not so hard to suspend. And I know I was the one just kind of like, I don't want to say complaining about it, but I was the one concerned. But I guess I was just thinking about it, and there are fighters who do move around weight classes, so it's not so hard to suspend disbelief that, okay, I'm wrestling for the cruiserweight title, but maybe next year I quote-unquote bulk up and wrestle for a different one. You know what I mean? I remember Matt Hardy in like 2002 had to do this thing where he had to get below 210 pounds in order to face Rey Mysterio.
He had a great run, though. That run was awesome.
I did love that storyline. I remember he was on the workout bike with like a trash bag on trying to sweat. There was like a vignette. Yeah, dude, that's one of my favorite Matt Hardy. That's an underrated.
Hated him as a kid, but looking back, it was fun. I mean, he played the heel very well, and I think I just liked Rey Mysterio so much. I hated Matt Hardy.
Yeah, Matt doesn't like mustard. It's a classic.
It's better than Big Money Matt right now.
Yeah. That's not my favorite. See, people say that we don't like everything, or that we like everything. I think that there are some things that we're like, it's not my favorite thing.
Well, this was actually something that you had brought up, and I guess none of us noticed it the first week of the remake or facelift of NXT last week, but you had mentioned to me this week that in the setup for the audience, there are no more guardrails.
I've never seen this in wrestling unless it's like bar wrestling or something like that, you know?
It's just like stands around the ring, right? Like
it's glass, like it looks like glass, like hockey glass, but like not like the old NXT. Like this is like basically it is a guardrail, but not the kind of guardrail that you can do any sort of maneuvers on or wrestling moves. Like you can't use it as a spot in your match, is what I'm trying to say.
Are they able to throw people into it? Just no standing on it?
They probably
no going over it?
I don't think so.
I don't think
like
so.
it re-look at it. It's very I'm not saying
I'll have to take another look.
It looks cool. Like it had the show itself is bright and colorful, and I was really watching it and I was like, you know what?
It's growing on me.
Yeah, if they don't totally make this like the Disney Channel, which I heard, and we'll touch on it, that Vince wants to make NXT edgy or something like that. He wants to like start pushing it to be edgy, like not early, but like 90s wrestling with like innuendos and different things. So
But wasn't that what Triple H was doing in NXT?
That's what I thought.
Well,
It's
I wonder how risque Vince would like it to be. I don't want it to be like trash TV, you know, like that would be a shame. I don't think
Like some Jerry Springer
I don't think people
stuff.
really want that anymore. You know, that was a phase in the late '90s where just people wanted really gnarly television,
Especially not in a politically correct culture. That would not fly nowadays.
Yeah,
But now that you said about that guardrails, that's all I can think about when I watch it now.
it's so weird.
I'm just like, there's no guardrails.
Yeah, because you mentioned it after the show had gone off there, so now next week I'll have to really pay attention. And I just didn't even cross my mind when I was watching.
There was a spot in the main event, because I know we're about to talk about it, where I think it was Ciampa was, like, he wanted to go for something, and he looked like he was going to, like, do the thing where you throw the guy into the guardrail, and then I saw him stop, and he, like, talked to, I can't remember if it was Pete Dunne or somebody, you could see him talk for a second, and I just wonder if he was telling him, like, oh shit, there's no guardrail there. We can't do that. Never mind.
Can't do that.
Yeah,
spot.
he just throws him back in, and then he literally just throws him back into the ring.
So speaking of the main event that you said you wanted to get into, the main event of the night was a tag match. It was Pete Dunne with Ridge Holland against Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker. They really seem to be pushing Braun Breaker.
He's killing it.
Now. He's the one that got the finish in the match, I believe, to Ridge Holland. I don't remember what his move was called, but he put him up over his head, dropped him down onto his shoulders, and flipped him forward. So if you can picture that, or maybe if you've seen the match, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he got the pin in the end. And Ridge Holland's a big guy. He just scooped that dude over his head.
Did you notice?
So I like the match.
Did you notice that when Ciampa and Pete Dunne got in the ring, immediately the pace of the match and the intensity picked up, like heavy hitting. It was almost like it felt like an MMA fight. Like it just had this intensity about it. But Braun,
the other two guys are just massive
right?
dudes.
That was cool.
And then you have these smaller guys that are very fast.
Yeah. So
it was a nice mix, like one big guy, one more quick guy on each team.
Yeah, you had the two power wrestlers, classic tag team, and then you got your guy who does all your moves and the flying and the more
almost like a Brett, the Hart Foundation, almost
right.
like that. You had
Yeah.
Jim Neidhart and Brett. But yeah, I thought it was a good main event.
Yeah, it was really good.
The thing that kind of annoys me now is like seeing Braun Breaker wrestle, is that he even wrestles like a Steiner.
Yeah.
So the fact that he looks like one and dresses like one, even
That's the only thing that
wrestles
bothers
like one.
me is that
Yeah,
they don't
just
use
call him
the
Steiner.
Steiner.
Yeah, I mean the name kind of sucks, but man, he's kind of sick though. Like I was like,
Braun
this
Breaker,
guy's like,
I like
he's
him.
grown on. I was like, this guy's kind of awesome. If they would just let him be
In one
Yeah.
whole week, he grew
they
on
would
me,
just-
and it looks like he's eyeing Tommaso's championship.
if they would just let him use his real name, I feel like, or at least something similar, we would be a lot better off. But all right, so we've covered that's NXT in a nutshell. The show was pretty excellent. I enjoyed it. A strong second episode of NXT 2.0. So up next we had, what was it, Andy?
We can get into our weekly Dynamite.
Yeah, let's go through our weekly Dynamite Grand Slam card. And this was a big one. It felt like a free pay-per-view on TV. Andy, you have all the notes. Do you want to take us from the top and we'll get into it like how we normally do?
Works for me. So before we kick in to the actual show itself, I read it was the third largest non-WWE pro wrestling event in American history. It sold over 20,000 tickets. The entire Arthur Ashe Arena, or Stadium is what it's called, was sold out. Apparently the staff was overwhelmed and was not expecting. They weren't prepared for it, to be that crazy of an event.
I did read about that.
Now, I don't know what
This is
the other non-wrestling...
This is according to people who were there. I saw live tweets
Yeah.
of saying that they were in line and that the line for like a hot dog and a soda was like unbelievably long.
Yeah, they just were
But
not
hey, what
ready
can you
for it.
do? Next time they go there, they'll get it right, I'm sure.
So this being the third largest non-WWE event, I don't know what the other two are. I don't know if you guys... I don't know, was maybe All In one of them?
I think it was like this size of a crowd was WCW event. I think it was in '99.
Ooh, okay. That might... Yeah,
forget
there's
which
two
one it was,
others
though.
that are non-WWE, but I couldn't find out what they were.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to do that on Good Housekeeping next week.
So getting into this show.
Let's go.
What an opener for a match.
All right, let's just get this out of the way. 5 stars. Are you guys agree? Yes or no?
This match? The opening match?
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
New listeners just know we don't do over 5 stars. I know Meltzer does 7 now, but we just do the old ranking system, and we don't do quarters and
I don't think it's just us that thought that this was an amazing match.
The finish.
I get why they did it. We'll get into it though.
Yeah, all right. Take us through. I'm sorry.
All right. So the show opened up with Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. Fantastic match. Bryan worked on Kenny's left arm for a little bit throughout it. It didn't feel choreographed at all. It was a solid, just really good storytelling, really good wrestling match. Both guys are just amazing. To me, it lived up to the expectations, and I'm really happy for that. Sometimes, you can get 2 guys together and you think it's going to be good, but it just maybe they don't mesh well or something. But these 2 together was very, very good. There was no winner. It was considered a draw due to the time limit. Even after the bell rang, Danielson keeps fighting Kenny for a little bit. Out come the Young Bucks and Adam Cole to help out Kenny. They beat up Bryan Danielson for a second in the corner. Then come out Christian Cage, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus to come help out Danielson. Probably going to set up a 6-man tag match in the future, but that's not the takeaway from this. The takeaway was just how amazing of a match this was.
Yeah, I think that they actually have one on Rampage. Is Young Bucks, Adam Cole, and Jurassic Express and Christian Cage.
Yes, for tomorrow night.
Yeah. But yeah, this match was, like you said, 5 stars. I mean, I thought this was going to be the main event. And they started
As did I. I was really surprised.
Which just got me so hyped when I started watching Dynamite. And one of my favorite parts is when the bell rings in the very beginning and the crowd just goes nuts for 2 straight minutes. And all they have to do is just stand there.
That was awesome. Yeah. Love that. And
you can see like Brian's face. He was so pumped for it too.
I know Kenny was supposed to be the heel, but he was looking around. He wanted to look. He wanted to look at the crowd, but he had to like pretend like he didn't care.
Yeah.
Brian looked happy to be in there. And to be wrestling just
like his style.
Yeah, and not so protected, and a guy he's never wrestled before, which I've heard him say, that's kind of part of the excitement of it is wrestling guys, he think would be cool to get in the ring with. So you could tell he was really happy to be there. It was cool to see.
There was a couple of spots that like I got nervous for Brian, but I know like it's because of WWE being so protective over him before, is like you think he can't do these things anymore. But when he took those like backdrops off the top rope,
the avalanche snapdragon suplex off the top,
yeah,
oh, that
was like it seemed like it, landed straight on his neck, but then apparently he ended up being fine backstage, and even people thought they were concerned about his wrist, but he was just really good at acting or selling the wrist.
When Kenny gave him the Snapdragon on the ramp, that made me nervous.
Yeah, because that's on like plexiglass basically.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of room for error there. What move was that he did? It was where he does the reverse Hurricanrana into that like tombstone.
Oh. Yeah. Where the Hurricanrana, instead they're both facing the same direction instead of one's
I almost
facing forward and the other's facing.
I almost said Canadian Destroyer, but
I know what you're talking about.
It's that mixed with like something else basically. It's a hard move to describe to people.
I forgot how he got up there. I don't know if he got up there because Kenny was gonna do a one-wing angel, and Brian turned it around. But yeah, I know exactly what movie you're talking about. And I don't think I've ever seen him do that in WWE, at least in recent years.
I loved how he started basically after the bell rang, even though the crowd was upset and booing, they just kept fighting like it was like one of those MMA fights where like the refs like, no man, it's over, and they just are like, no, it's not done yet, and they just are gonna keep going. I was like totally invested. I can't wait to see more.
I never thought a match of the year could end in a draw, but this could be a match of the year.
It's one of those matches, I realized when I was watching it, that if I thought about it, I would have been like, yeah, that was really cool. But until seeing it, I didn't know I needed it. If you guys know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that's the type of stuff we used to talk about. Like, wouldn't that be cool if, like, the Bullet Club guys, like, came to WWE? Remember that kind of stuff? And
yeah.
Now it's like, you know, it's not WWE. It's a completely different company, which is even cooler in a weird way.
It's like playing the GM mode on WWE's video game.
Yeah, fantasy booking. Tony Khan's doing like GM mode.
Yeah, he's just on a video game right now, just making dream matches, but in real life.
I thought one of the tough spots was going to be when they had to go to commercial, especially during a match like this. But after that spot where like Kenny did that sprint to the V trigger, and it was kind of perfectly played because for like I think it was 90-second commercial break, they basically like Brian was just on the outside, and then Kenny was taunting the crowd, or Pittsburgh threw him in the ring, and that was about it. Which didn't seem like he missed really anything or any of the flow of the match at all.
I think we're going to see them wrestle again eventually. I think it's going to be a little while, but it was nice they gave us a little tease of it.
Yeah, it was a free preview.
Exactly.
Well, it's good. Exactly. We saw it, right? So now maybe Hangman comes back, and the crowd is more accepting. Not accepting, because people are going to be hyped that he comes back, but it's like, okay, you got to see the Bryan Danielson Kenny Omega match. Now let's kind of get back to like where we were before all these names showed up here, because I really want Hangman to get that title after all this build.
Yeah, did he ever have his match? I don't remember, with Kenny for the title. I thought he did, and he lost, but they kept the feud going, and then he went away.
No, because they did that tag with the Dark Order, and then they lost that tag match.
Oh, and that the stipulation was like, if he won, he got the...
Yeah, he would get a title shot if they won.
Yeah, then it would make sense to bring him back into the title picture and see... he's super popular with the crowd. So we'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah, he was on fire before he left.
He's one of those guys that, that's their quote-unquote homegrown talent, where I don't want to see him get lost in the shuffle because all the big, stars from the other company are showing up.
I agree.
Him and Darby seem like two guys that
I would consider Darby homegrown as well. Day one.
Well, there's a big trend on Twitter that I'm watching from our Twitter that all these AEW guys are tweeting that, just in case anybody's wondering, we are homegrown AEW talent, and people were other AEW people were like retweeting it and stuff. So there's like a movement. I guess somebody questioned it, and then everybody's like, no, I'm definitely an AEW homegrown talent. So what was after the opening match?
So after Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson, CM Punk had an in-ring segment where he got it on the mic. First of all, one of the first things he said was, I feel bad for everyone else on the card. How are you going to follow that? Which...
The crowd didn't really know what to make of that.
I kind of agree with. I mean, I liked the rest of the card, but man, like, I don't know if I might have liked him more than I did if that match hadn't have happened yet. The crowd and myself were just so hot for that first match.
Yeah, it was kind of an awkward pause after he said that, and he said it again.
Yeah.
And then people were still like,
silent,
okay.
And then they started chanting CM Punk.
So after saying that,
they're like, we don't want to hear you. We don't want to hear you being nice. They're like, let's just chant your name and come on.
Well, that's what that led to, was him, having more of an attitude than he's shown since coming to AEW. He got hot on the mic about what happened what was it, Rampage last week? Or was it Dynamite when he was on commentary and was attacked by Hobbs and Team Taz?
Dynamite.
So, he was on the mic saying, he's like, you want angry CM Punk? He's like, basically, you're getting them. And this is all setting up for their match tomorrow night, or if you're listening right now, it's tonight on Rampage between CM Punk and Powerhouse Hobbs. What do you guys think of the segment?
I thought it was good for what it was. I mean, Punk's always good on the mic. It was definitely hard to follow this match, just because the crowd, I think, was just exhausted from the first 30 minutes of it. But yeah, I think it was a good idea to have Punk, because I don't think anyone else coming out, if you did, the MJF Brian Pillman match, which followed Punk, if they did that in between before Punk, I don't think they would have gotten much reaction at all.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it's hard for me a little bit to get into this whole CM Punk versus Team Taz feud, but the emotion that he showed in the promo yesterday made me buy into it way more. Because even though, yes, and now I know, okay, if he can do this with Team Taz and Hook and Hobbs, he can definitely do it when he has like a feud with Kenny Omega or, I mean, literally anybody else on that roster. If he can do that for this feud, I mean, think about what he's going to do when we're like working to something huge.
He said on the mic, he said, "This shit is mine again," claiming that ring.
That was a great line.
He's ready for it. He wants it. Hungry.
And you know what? We understand that the show Rampage is taped, so if you're listening on Friday and we're all going to watch tonight, CM Punk is technically already wrestled. Don't be the guy who tweets the spoilers. Come on, guys. Let's be better than that.
I do think that hurts Rampage, like in terms of ratings and just viewership. It's like whenever you tape something, people can find out who wins. It's like not going to be.
I'm avoiding. I will not be on the PW fan Twitter for the next few days because I don't want to know. I know it'll get ruined because somebody will be that person and post it.
Do they record it the same night as Dynamite, like after the Dynamite show?
Yeah.
So CM Punk did that segment, and then later in the night, after the main event, eventually wrestled the same night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so think about also how fatigued that crowd is. Think about how that fatigued that crowd is going to be by the end of Rampage.
That's the part I was worried about, because that's a 5-hour show then. If it's 2 hours of Rampage, 2 hours of Dynamite, and then they film Dark Elevation for that. So that's a lot of TV.
It's like going to a UFC fight live.
Wrestling.
I mean,
it's also
a long show.
But I'm not going to lie. I would love to do that. I'd love to be there for all of it the whole time.
Yeah.
So after the CM Punk segment, we had a match. It was MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. Took a couple notes on it saying that, MJF made Pillman look good. Pillman's still green, and at times you can tell with some of his matches, but MJF made him look really good. But one day he'll be a top star, I believe. They played the roles very well as babyface and heel. I love to hate MJF, and the crowd lately has been really behind Brian Pillman Jr. In the end, the winner was MJF by using the Salt of the Earth submission.
One of my favorite things about MJF and this being in New York, which I'm kind of curious to see what happens in the Long Island show, because he's from Long Island, if they're going to boo him or if he's just going to, for some reason, get cheered there just because it's hometown. But his parents were actually there, and they had those signs.
You see the sign?
We hate MJF too.
Where MJF's parents said we hate him or something like that was their sign.
He retweeted it and said, "Fuck off, Mom."
It was like the best heel ever.
Did you guys like the match, though? What do you think of Brian Pillman Jr., his future?
Yeah, I like the match. I do think Brian Pillman Jr. still has kind of a ways to go to be in the main event. But
another homegrown guy, like we were saying.
Yeah, I'm glad that he is getting
He'll get there.
TV time at least, not on Dark or Elevation anymore. Because I do think he's a very good wrestler and also just a presence, just like kind of like his dad too, that he has.
I like that he's getting a singles push.
Kind of helps him break out of that.
It's cool to see.
Like Tim doesn't like that high school character. Yeah.
The Varsity Blondes. He doesn't like the high school cheerleading jock squad.
Yeah, when Julia Hart walked out with him, I was like, oh, come on. I thought we were getting away from this. But
Yeah, did she have pom-poms?
yes.
Yeah, she did.
Oh.
So I like the match.
Full out.
I like the match too, but I mean, look, we just saw two of the best wrestlers in the world put on an incredible match, and then your green wrestler going out and having to quote unquote follow that. I thought Brian Pillman Jr. did a really great job in comparison to what we saw beforehand. Yes. You obviously are going to notice some glaring things. You're going to notice some glaring things.
The theme of the show is the matches were good, but after seeing that first match, you're going to, really see the difference between, a good average match and an excellent one like the opener.
Yeah, and MJF won, as he should have, because he should not lose anymore. He's had to do all the Jericho stuff, and I just think that he needs to be on his own, or at least with Wardlow, and just keep winning until somebody is that person to finally get him and to take him down. But right now, I think he's doing exactly what he should be doing. So what was next after that?
So we had a backstage interview. Alex Marvez interviewed Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, talking about, I believe they have a match on Rampage coming up against Scorpio Sky and All Ego Ethan Page. So they were talking some trash to Dan Lambert of America Top Team, and I guess their team name is called Men of the Year now. But it was just their way of, selling the match for tomorrow night's Rampage. After that, we had Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes coming out with Brandy and Arn Anderson. I want to say I enjoyed the match much more than their first one. It was a lot longer. Cody actually got some stuff in this time around. I know you don't like it, Tim, but Black was back to wearing his shorts.
I'm okay with
MMA
I'm
shorts?
over the shorts. It looked like he added some sort of
that.
design or something.
Yeah, I think they were just straight up plain black originally.
The
and now
original
there's,
ones looks like I got them from Dick's Sporting Goods. That's why it just
Yeah.
took me out of it a little bit.
The crowd was into the match a lot. Cody worked Black's left leg for a while. In the end, the winner was Malachi Black. Cody shoved the ref while the ref was distracted. Black spits some kind of black mist in Cody's face and rolls him up for the pin. The finish surprised me, but I don't absolutely hate it. I just like seeing that black mask kick.
I just want to throw out there real quick because people are going to be like, oh my God, that's such 2021 wrestling fan to say that the shorts bother you. No, I'm just saying, I like to get into the character, right? And this guy, he's supposed to be, I don't want to say he's otherworldly or supernatural, but he's this mysterious character and he gives off this really cool vibe. I don't want to think about him going into the department store buying basketball shorts so he could wear them to the ring. It just takes me out of it a little bit. But I also know he loves to grapple, and doesn't he do MMA stuff with Punk in real life?
Yeah, there's pictures of him.
Yeah,
There's pictures of him training at Rufus
I
Sports.
get
Yeah,
it.
he's
He
like
likes
part
it. He likes
kickboxer.
the culture. He wants to incorporate it into his look. I understand.
It is confusing though, because he's switching off between the underwear tights and the shorts.
Well, maybe he's trying to figure out what he feels comfortable with.
Because he's only worn the shorts around with Cody. That's the only 2 times he's worn them.
I did notice what you said about the face paint, Andy. I looked for it this time. It's starting to go.
Now you're not going to be able to not see it. I
Yeah,
swear
it's
it's
starting to
increasing
cover-
every time. It used to just be the eye, and now he has some red contact in the eye, which I don't know if we've ever mentioned. I always thought it was cool that he continued that from Seth Rollins and WWE injuring his eye and just brought it over and actually did something with it though.
Kayfabe's not
No.
dead, brother.
There you go. But yeah, now I can't unsee the face paint changing every week though. You'll just see it increasing. It's starting to
It's
just
like
go
half
around.
his face now.
Yeah.
Are we not going to talk about how Cody's cape? What about Cody's cape? Hang on one second.
was like 20 feet long.
That was ridiculous.
What's ridiculous also is like I'm so tired of his red, white, and blue outfit.
Yeah.
Like he's like Captain America or something coming down
Dude,
there.
his Nightmare Factory symbol's red, white, and blue. Also, isn't his tattoo red, white, and blue? It's coming out like freaking George Washington up in here in the Revolutionary War.
It reminds me of. I think it's.
Did you notice that when he brought Brandy out, she came out of the heel tunnel?
No, I don't think. I mean, it didn't like register with me.
Yeah, because like he went to Arn, and Arn came out like the same tunnel. Well, Cody comes out in the middle, but Arn came out of the babyface tunnel, and then Brandy came out of the heel tunnel. Because I think when she left, she was a heel. I think she was. I don't know, but she did that spotting with Malachi Black, and she sat in the ring.
You're right. She was a heel. She was doing I forget what their name was, but she was cutting people's hair.
Oh,
with like Nyla Rose and stuff. Yeah. She had her own side team, and then she got pregnant, and then just completely went off TV, and that whole storyline got scrapped. But yeah, I remember each week she was cutting off like pieces of girls' hair. One girl ended up like shaving her head, and like joining. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah. Early days of AEW. Early days of AEW.
I think the people are gonna turn on Cody, man. I think, or either that or he's turning heel. It's coming.
They were chanting for Malachi.
They already are turning
they love Black too much, at least with.
He's too Wonder Bread. People aren't feeling it. I liked Ring of Honor Cody when he was like rocking the leather jacket. He had the same song, but like he was like more like
Bullet Club Cody.
Yeah, he wasn't like Captain America. He was more like like I'm a rich jerk kind of guy, you know,
coming out with the cigars.
When AEW started.
That was sweet. That was sweet. Yeah, like how he was when it first started. Before he became Captain America.
It all went downhill once it did that. Who's the British guy's name that he wrestled? Anthony Ogogo.
You mean that guy that we literally never saw again?
Yeah, that he beat.
Yeah.
That was the turning point when he went into that American I have to fight for the flag, and now I'm gonna wear it. And now he just wears
this
20-foot cape when he comes out.
Deal. It was so silly.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Well, not the only thing, but that's one of the only things AEW did where I was like, not my.
But then there was the match with Brody Lee where he randomly came back after filming Go Big Show the first time, and he has black hair and he's goth Cody.
Yeah.
Basically.
He had that for
he had it for one match, and then the next week he was back to blonde. But he had to go into his inner demon self and to beat Brody Lee.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But so after the Malachi Black and Cody Rhodes match, unless you guys have more to say about it, but
no, I thought it was a really good match.
I thought the match was good. Yeah, I mean, I hope we kind of move past this now. But
yeah, I'm wondering if this is the end of their feud. If so, I'm wondering who they pair Malachi Black with next.
Is this the blow-off match, or do you think they get one more
though.
out of it?
I mean, how much? There's no more family for him to beat up. No more Nightmare family for him
Cody
for Cody to get revenge on.
Ooh, what do you think about Cody
twice.
pushing Arn? Cody pushed Arn, and then Arn was like, "Get back over there! Don't worry about me." I love that.
Was he pushing Arn or trying to check up on him?
Sorry,
He was like, I'm fine. Get back in.
Yeah, he was checking on Arn, and Arn pushed Cody.
Well, so that spot Arn actually slipped off the apron.
Yeah, they didn't show it, but the commentators mentioned it.
Yeah. Like, he fell down. The ref was
all the fans were like,
okay?
"Oh, he slipped off the apron."
So Arn so he probably was like kind of.
I don't know if he actually got hurt, but yeah, he fell. Yeah. He took a tumble.
But I wonder if Arn either Arn's that good where he was, "Don't worry about me, get back in there," or if he got a little hot for a second.
I think he called an audible. I really do. I was just like,
well, he slipped and then he got back up on the apron.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got right back up.
Well, I'm sure Arn didn't like Cody drawing attention to it.
I remember after Malachi Black, I think this is the first time he's done it in AEW, did his backflip off the middle rope and sat down. Brandon Rhodes gets in, sits down, flicks him off and says, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
You can read her lips perfectly on live TV, so I just thought that was a little funny.
Yeah, and then the crowd booed.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they're too hot for Malachi Black right now. Even though Cody's technically the good guy, like, they just, they love Black too much. Moving on, though, after that match, we had a video package of Miro and Sammy Guevara. So we were right, though, to assume from Rampage when Sammy had saved Fuego del Sol that this was setting up a feud between Miro and him. I'm actually really excited for it. I like Sammy Guevara a lot. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, he's really grown on me.
I look at him as another homegrown guy. I remember liking him in the beginning, but then he was paired with the Inner Circle, and you're not really supposed to like him, so I didn't. But I always thought he was very good. And so he's a guy, and the fans are also really behind him. He's a guy I could see taking the title from Miro and people being fine with it.
Oh, yeah. I just wish there was a little bit more build to this.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes. I don't think they've set a date for a title match or anything. I'm not sure.
I think it's next week.
Is it? Is it a title match, though, or is it just a match?
I think it's a title match.
Well, I guess we'll have to come back next week and see what we thought, if that is the case. Next match, we had Sting and Darby Allin teaming up against FTR. FTR comes out.
Dude, Sting rules. Sting is the man.
Sting is the man.
That crossbody that he did, he's 62 years old.
I was very surprised
awesome.
by that, and it sounded like the crowd was too. FTR came out wearing NWO-inspired gear. I don't know if it was a dig at Sting, trying to get under his skin.
And Excalibur was trying so hard how to describe it, but not say NWO. I was like, why are you just say it?
He's like, it's a faction from the 90s.
I don't get why not, though. I mean, TNT, it was on TNT, but I wonder if it was because technically WWE owns.
Yeah, I think it's because they own it
now.
That's their intellectual property. Yeah, they purchased it.
I also noticed Darby and Sting's face paint was smudged / faded. It looked like, it was some continuity. Let me redo that. Looked like it was some continuity from last week's. I think it was Rampage, I want to say, when FTR, or maybe it was Dynamite, but last week, FTR wiped off both of their face paints. And so I don't know if they just continued with that storyline, but literally the top half of Sting's face paint was smudged. Some of it was in the beginning of his hairline.
Yeah, it made him look
in the end, the winners
crazy by the end of the match.
Yeah, he did. Like the mad scientist with white in his hair and stuff. In the end, the winners were Sting and Darby Allin by submission from a Scorpion Deathlock on Dax Hardwood. That was a good match.
Finish.
Sting, I feel like did a little bit more than he usually has been doing lately, but I think he looked okay. I still get scared though when I watch him wrestle. It
makes me nervous.
Darby,
since
getting injured by Seth.
Darby's coffin drop makes me nervous.
Yeah, he did one to the outside and they caught him in this match.
Yeah, I get nervous.
Cool.
I remember that spot with Darby and Cody, and Darby did on the outside, and Cody moved, and he hit straight on the edge of the apron.
That was the first Dynamite, wasn't it?
I think it was either that or it was one of the Fyter Fest or something, but...
or maybe their first little pay-per-view.
Yeah, but that one,
I
felt that one, on my back, too.
Yeah, it was the first time we ever saw Darby Allin before.
That's right, yeah.
The audience. And I remember thinking, this dude's freaking crazy, man. But yeah, I like the match. What do you guys think of the match, though? I don't want to see Tully and Sting wrestle. I don't.
Yeah, no, please don't see that. I was surprised at how much Sting did. I mean, I know he's 62, and he's I think that it just shows if you give wrestlers time off, you don't do 365 days a year or whatever, how many times a week, that the wrestlers can actually sustain their careers like this. Because I mean, Sting's had a lot of time off from I don't know when, last time he was in WWE, but to be 62 and still doing this, it's amazing.
Well, it's why Jericho only wrestles a certain amount
of
matches every year too. They're also not doing house show matches. I guess besides is Rampage? No, Rampage. No, none of these are. If they're filmed, they're not considered house shows. Right. I guess if they're not on TV. But same thing with Daniel Bryan though. He also wanted a smaller schedule and preserve his body. WWE would say he's injury prone, but
Right, because I mean, even if you do
really that's
Dynamite, then you're only doing once a week, really, and you're not wrestling every week. So
no. And they have 4 pay-per-views a year.
yeah,
That's kind of the cool thing with this is that they don't have to wrestle every week, but if they're just on the show, even if it's just like a in-ring segment or something, you can still keep pushing the storyline, still get your character over without having to put your body through that many matches throughout the year.
Yeah. I know you don't want to see Tully wrestle, but for any of the young fans listening, if you want to see Tully wrestle, log on to your Peacock. It's 1985 Starrcade. It's Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard for the NWA United States Heavyweight Championship, and it is blood and guts and violent, and you can go see how awesome Tully Blanchard was as a young wrestler. Because I don't think a lot of people even know. There's probably fans, because look, I know who he is because I went back and watched wrestling from before I was born and got really into the history of wrestling. But I'm sure there's even in the Attitude Era, somebody knew who Stone Cold Steve Austin was, but didn't know who a guy like Tully Blanchard was. So I just wanted on the show to every now and then, if they have one of these legends on here, you could point out to something cool that somebody could go watch and check them out.
Yeah, well, you are the guy to go to for that. I mean, God knows you've showed me so many matches I've never even heard of. I'll just be like, has this guy ever wrestled this person? And you're like, dude, you have to go back to 88. Like, all right.
Yeah. I love it.
So what did you think about Tully selling that punch from Sting?
It didn't look great.
I'll leave it at that. That breath, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. That was at the spot when Sting almost ran into Tully's chair that he put there in the corner.
So if you want to see Tully sell a punch good, go back to 1985.
So our main event of the show, after the Sting and Darby match, was Ruby Soho versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. Ruby's getting that championship opportunity that she won in the Casino Battle Royale from All Out. Throughout the match, Britt Baker worked Ruby's shoulders, but in the end, the winner was Britt Baker. Jamie Hayter stunned Ruby on the ropes while the ref was distracted, and Britt Baker submitted her with the lockjaw. I'm not mad at the decision whatsoever. I think it's still smart to keep the belt on Baker, but you got to see what Ruby can do in the ring with someone that is the champion, and she's popular enough. You don't have to have her win right away. And I think they said it had been 115 days. Britt's been champion. I think she should be champion a little bit longer. She's, from the beginning, I've looked at her, even though there's been other champions before her, I always looked at her as the face of the women's division. She was always in one of the main spots. What do you guys think?
It was the right decision to keep the belt on Britt Baker. She is like another stardom level of women's wrestlers for AEW right now. Like you said, she's the face of women's wrestling for AEW. Wanted Ruby Soho to win so bad, but then I know that it's not the right time for her, and probably might be Thunder Rosa who takes it from Britt Baker, just because they had that great kind of hardcore match earlier in the year. So I feel like they're going that direction instead.
Ruby will definitely get it eventually. It's just right now, I don't think she doesn't need it.
And one thing I think for her,
she's so over.
For her finisher, it seems like I like the finisher, but it seems like it needs something more.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah, I know.
If you read comments on Instagram, a lot of people hate her finisher.
It needs something more to it though, because
it's that kick, right?
Yeah.
It's like the kick to the face.
Yeah, it just needs something more to it because it just feels like a normal kick, like anyone else does.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was her finisher until the announcer said something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. I just thought it was just like a regular.
Yeah, it needs to have it's not like a super kick where it has impact or that sound.
No, it's like she did it out of nowhere too. There was no build up for it that you could she didn't tease it or anything or drag it out a little bit. It was just very quick, and And the announcer was like,
Yeah, that's the only one thing that
she hit her with...
That hopefully she works on, or they come up with something different for her.
I gotta say that wrestling Twitter really bummed me out with this match. Like, I thought it was a good match. I didn't see what was wrong with it. People on Twitter were talking about how it was sucked. I was like, y'all are crazy. I didn't watch the same match that whoever... And I saw a bunch of people saying that. People saying that Ruby shouldn't have been in this match. I was like, where is all this coming from? Because I watched the same show, and I felt like there was... I mean, it's hard to main event that show, but I thought they did a really good job.
The fans were into it. I mean, the ones that were there liked Ruby and were cheering
and also,
for her.
Don't forget, it's a New York crowd, the most, like, intense of wrestling fans, probably besides, like, Philly. And they're gonna... It's more fun for them to cheer for Britt Baker than it is to cheer for Ruby Soho. So, in a normal... Not a normal, but in a different area, I think you'd see Ruby Soho being the clear babyface. But in New York, with that type of crowd, yeah, they like to cheer that kind of stuff. It's more fun.
Yeah, I like both women, and in the end, I was fine with either one winning. I know I said that I think it's a smart decision that they kept it on Britt Baker, but I wouldn't have been mad if Ruby had won. I like both women. I think they're both some of the best talent in AEW's women's division right now.
Which is crazy because you see how good Ruby Soho is. Her actual first match, really, one-on-one match outside of WWE, and it's such a difference from anything she's done there.
Oh my God, completely! It's like a 180.
Yeah.
Well, that was the main event of the show. Is there any stuff for next? Or for any predictions that you want to go over for tomorrow's show?
So I want to cover, if you're listening, it's tonight. I want to
So our shows come out on Friday. If you're listening now, it's tonight.
So I just want to go over what tonight's Grand Slam card for AEW Rampage is. Now, I don't know if this is the order that it'll happen, but we have Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford. We have Lucha Brothers and Santana Ortiz versus Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade. Men of the Year, which is Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, against Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. We have Adam Cole teaming up with the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. Powerhouse Hobbs versus CM Punk. And then we have a Lights Out match, which is Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley versus Suzuki Goon, which is made up of Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer. So that's technically tonight's card. But we do have a few minutes left, and I wanted to go over Extreme Rules for this Sunday, and just the card and maybe some predictions by you guys. What do you think?
Let's go over, maybe just like the main matches of the show, like the main events.
Okay. So I'm going to go over just some of the title matches and stuff. So we have the United States Championship match, Damien Priest versus Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. I'm going to go with Damien Priest. I think he retains the title.
Yeah, I'm going the same. I think probably Hardy's going to take the pin, I think. It's because of why they added him.
I think that's why they added him to the match, unfortunately. But I think it would be a bad time to take the belt off of Priest.
I'm going to go Sheamus. Wild card.
You think he takes it back? He lost it at SummerSlam. You think he's going to get back?
How many U.S. titles would that be for him?
Oh, God, I don't know. I've lost
16 times. Woo! All right, what's next?
Woo. We have the Raw Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. I think I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss on this one. They've been pushing her.
Yeah, I don't want to, but I'm going with Alexa Bliss too. Her character was really good when Bray Wyatt was there, and them kind of having that dynamic, but what they made her into now, I'm like, I don't understand this.
Did you guys hear their promo?
Yeah.
This week? It was actually really good.
Did you hear that? Was it the same one? Where
apparently it's not true.
Okay, so that's rumor and innuendo.
You're talking about fans leaving?
Yeah, the fans leaving. That's not real.
Apparently, other fans that were there are coming out and being like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So
this is just
I don't know how
like,
it started.
made up. Yeah, that's crazy.
Because when I watched this, I watched it the next day actually. I thought it was actually really good, and I couldn't understand why people would walk out of it. At one point, Alexa, they were taking jabs at each other. It was one of Charlotte's better promos too. Alexa was saying, basically how Charlotte Flair is not original and she has to steal the gimmick from her father. And then Charlotte Flair's like, "You're going to talk to me about stealing gimmicks?" And then the crowd was just like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So that was just one of the things from there. But I thought, it got me more into their feud. I wasn't that into it beforehand. And then this Alexa Playground segment from Raw sold it a little bit more for me.
Right.
Another match I want to know what you guys think. Oh, wait, Tim, who do you have as the winner for the Raw Women's Championship?
Gotta go with my girl Charlotte. She don't lose.
So next match I want to see what your guys' thoughts are is a match that we should have gotten. I mean, we should have gotten it at SummerSlam. I get now what they were getting to. They wanted Becky to become more and more of a heel. But we have Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I'm saying Becky retains the title. I'm hoping it's a really good match. I mean, that's all I really want out of it. Just to show that Bianca doesn't have to get squashed and that she can go toe-to-toe with Becky.
Yeah, the match that they should have had at SummerSlam.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm going with Becky too. They like Becky too much anyways. I don't think they're going to take it off her. And especially since she's like a proven draw right now.
Yeah, that's their star. She's the most popular women's wrestler in WWE at the moment.
Across the board, I'm picking Becky as well.
So lastly, we have our main event, which is going to be Roman Reigns versus the Demon Finn Balor for the Universal Championship. Now, before I get into this, I don't even know if it's been announced on TV. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. This is the only match on the card with a stipulation. It's an Extreme Rules match. I don't know if they didn't realize that all these matches they were making over the past few weeks, none of them had a single stipulation for an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But they threw this on last minute. So that's just what it is for this match. I think it's a smart decision, though. I'll tell you why. I think Roman Reigns is going to win. But by it being an Extreme Rules match, it also protects the Demon's win streak of not losing clean.
Yeah, if he gets crushed with a chair a bunch of times, it's not the same as losing to a Superman punch 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. So then they can keep the Demon, undefeated streak going, and it, doesn't hurt either guy. But I think, are we all in agreement Roman Reigns is going to retain the title in this match?
100%.
Yeah. Especially that since they've already booked Crown Jewel Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
I was just going to say
Roman is awesome.
I love Roman. I like the bloodline. That whole gimmick is...
Me too. He's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
I know they like to say, like, well, it could change, but 9 out of 10 times it never does.
Right. Yeah.
Brock Lesnar ain't coming back to do a non-title match.
Or to fight Finn Balor.
Which was a great match.
Huh? Yeah, I
it
feel
would
like
be a great match.
Yes, they have.
He's never wrestled him. Oh, wait, yes, they did. It was it at the Rumble?
Yeah, and it was good. Brock killed it with AJ, too. He's had some bangers.
Daniel Bryan, too.
And Eddie Guerrero. That was like 20 years ago, but still.
The old school wrestler. Go check
I'm just
out
saying.
1965.
I sounded like the $1 Million Man right there. It was like an evil cackle.
That pay-per-view is Sunday on Peacock, so we'll talk about it next week, I'm sure.
All right, before we close out the show, let's just go through a couple predictions for Rampage. Andy, take us through.
So for Anna Jay and Penelope Ford, I think Anna Jay is going to win since she just came back I think it'd be good for her. How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, so I'm going with Anna Jay because she already went through Bunny before, and now she's going to go through Penelope Ford. And kind of, I think she's going to probably get a title match pretty soon, kind of one of those title matches on Dynamite. Probably not going to win it, but at least get into the main event spot.
I'm also going to go with Anna Jay.
Then we have the Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz versus Private Party, The Butcher, and The Blade. I think I'm going to go with Private Party and Butcher and The Blade. They just lost. Matt Hardy, HFO just lost like 2 matches.
Really?
On Rampage.
I was going to say, but they never win anything.
Hey, maybe I'm the odd man out.
Everyone who has Matt Hardy as their, whatever, call him manager, I guess, they lose every single match. So I'm going to go with Lucha Bros.
Hey, it's my prediction, guys. So what, you're going with Lucha Brothers and Santana Ortiz?
Yeah, I'm going with them.
I mean, I want to see them win. I'm just saying, I think Private Party and Butcher and Blade. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, I agree with you, Andy.
Then we have the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page versus Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. I'm going Men of the Year.
I'm going Men of the Year, too.
Chris Jericho and Jake Hager.
They're going to have the MMA guys out there.
No way.
They haven't wrestled on
way.
TV in a while. I feel like, maybe give them a win.
Yeah.
Jericho's going to make both these guys tap simultaneously.
If anything, he's going to give them the Judas effect. He hasn't done the Walls of Jericho except for one time recently.
Except when he made
Except for one time recently. Yeah, one time recently. Other than that, he's been strictly doing the Judas effect.
Well, they're going to have, Jorge
Masvidal
out there as well, I think, and all those other MMA guys.
Yeah, I think last week they had Junior Dos Santos and Robbie Lawler.
All right, so what's next?
Adam Cole and the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. I'm going with the Elite.
I'm going with the Super Click. It's also the Elite.
Is that what you're calling them? The Super Click? Is that what they call themselves? Oh, is that a new name?
Yeah, that's what Adam Cole just said that last time.
I'm going with the Elite. The Elite. You have to.
So it looks like we're all in agreement.
Those EVPs ain't losing. Come on. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah, brand new Adam Cole coming in, maybe too quick to see him lose. Next, we got Powerhouse Hobbs with Hook versus CM Punk.
Send Hook.
Send Hook. I'm going with Punk.
I mean, yeah, come on.
I'm going with Punk, but do you think Hook is going to do anything?
Except being sent?
Except being sent.
I don't know. He might interfere or something.
Or is he going to interfere by just standing on the apron just looking at the guy?
His big poofy hair.
He's 17, looking. Just trying to be menacing. No, all right. Hang on. He'll probably be good. All right. No, I'm sure Hook's cool. Hook, you're cool, bro. Fist bump. But, no, I got to
He's
go.
listening to this right now.
Right. I'm sure he cares.
We're his favorite.
I'm going Punk.
Our main event is the Lights Out match with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer. Now, when it's a Lights Out match, that's just AEW's not responsible for what happened. So it's going to be some kind of
It's their version of the non-sanctioned
match, hardcore street fight kind of thing. Okay.
And it doesn't count on your record.
Yeah, exactly. It's a non-sanctioned
Sean.
basically. I'm going Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley on this one.
Yeah, I'm going the same. I think they're going to win. And also Moxley is he's probably going to do some crazy stuff.
I said a couple episodes ago, I really like them as a tag. It's awesome. I'm going to go with them also. I mean,
and like I said last episode or 2 episodes ago, you should have watched during the pandemic era.
Yeah, and
they were teaming every week.
Yeah.
People were like, "You're not a real fan. Didn't watch."
After Kingston saved him from those fireworks.
Sparklers.
Yeah,
there was some
okay,
sparklers.
well, I saw that because that was the talk of wrestling, about how it poofed.
He covered him.
When it was supposed to be a big explosion and it went poof instead.
So that covers technically tonight's AEW Rampage Grand Slam show. It's going to be a 2-hour show, unlike its normal schedule of just 1 hour. So
I'm looking for a 2-hour show. All right, so that is our review for AEW Rampage. We're going to close out the show here, guys. Please follow us on social media. For Twitter, follow us at the PW Fan. For Instagram, follow us at the PW Fan. For Andy's Funko Pop collection, follow at the 410 Fan Bros on Instagram. Please like and subscribe to the PW Fan on our YouTube channel, where full episodes of the show are available. Thanks for listening, and join us next week where we talk all things wrestling. Bye-bye, everybody.